Finally, a beautiful space.
Yeah, I know. It's all just a big dump.
Mic up the cat, mic up the cat.
Her name's Rye.
Rye.
And she is on Instagram. It's Rye Meow is her name.
What?
She's very active.
Thank you.
Rye underscore meow?
No, Rye Meow underscore.
Rye Meow underscore.
Oh,
Hi, Rye.
that's amazing.
Hi. So, Rye, I understand that you're going to be taking us around today and showing us Peerless Distillery. I bet you have seen a lot of things in your day, and I would love to know everything about it, everything that is in that brain. Where are you going? Rye, please.
Here lie Daniel's job prospects at Peerless Distillery.
The bungknockers are back, baby. Specifically 120 North 10th Street right off of Main, where as soon as we enter the building, we are transported back in time to a distillery richly rooted in pre-Prohibition history. As a scholarly gaggle of history buffs, we are ready to dive in, to day drink, and to learn that at Peerless Distilling Company, it truly is all in the family.
We're with Corky and Carson Taylor. You are a legend. You're a legend in the making. This is fifth generation?
I'm fourth, he's fifth.
Fourth and fifth, 5 generations. Your great-grandfather started Peerless.
He did. Henry Craver in 1889.
He is our current owner's great-grandfather, and he founded Peerless.
He was a Polish Jew, came over from Poland, went to New York when he was 5 years old, selling newspapers on the corner when he was 7, 8, 10, 12.
Around the age of 18, he decided to take all the money that he had, put it in his pocket, hop on a riverboat, and wherever that money ran out, that was where he was going to end up living.
Why he didn't get off in Louisville, Kentucky, I have no idea. He went on down to Henderson, which is a town about 120 miles straight west of it, right on the Ohio River. Walked to the top of the hill. There was one bar up there called Puckett's. So he walked in, had no money and didn't know a soul. Walked into the bar and said, "Can I sweep the floor and live in the attic until I get myself squared away?" And they said, "Sure, come on in." He bought the bar a couple years later.
He opens hotels, he opens movie theaters, he opens banks, and one of his biggest businesses was actually a brewery, which was Henderson Brewing Company. At that point, as you can see, it was a really massive production.
That is quite a building.
Yes, yes. To scale it, he actually owned his own railroad company and a riverboat company to distribute the product. So,
My Lord.
yes, lots of beer being produced out of there. And then while he was living in Henderson, he befriends a man named Mr. Worsham, and he owns Worsham Distilling Company. Craver buys that distillery, which is what becomes Kentucky Peerless. That production, it really wasn't that big when he bought it. They were producing about 12 or so barrels a week. So he kind of amped it up and started producing around 200 barrels a week.
He owned a lot of things. He had a lot of different partners, and he did a lot of things to come to Kentucky and not know a soul and not have a nickel in his pocket.
What happens next is Prohibition.
King Rameses went to pieces 7,000 years ago and passed a law that Egypt must go dry. Sahara, we sympathize with you. Sahara, we'll soon be dry like you. I know why Cleopatra put that snake against her skin. She lost her mind completely when she lost her golden kin. Sahara,
It was a bad time during Prohibition, and in the state of Kentucky, there were 200 distilleries and only 7 got a license to distribute alcohol. There were fields full of bourbon. Out on 18th, 16th, 15th, 14th, as far as you could see, there's just barrels of whiskey in the road.
So Prohibition comes around and he's like, I have 60,000 barrels, I gotta get out of here.
If the government would have known he had a lot of barrels, what they would have done is they'd have taken 400 or 500 men with axes in their hand, gone through the distillery and busted open every barrel and poured it out. And he knew that.
So he actually takes all those barrels in the middle of the night, sends them to these warehouses out in Owensboro that are guarded 24/7.
They had fences that were 10 and 12 foot tall with ivy on there.
Wow.
And he could keep men back there with guns to protect it. And he had to protect it about from 1919, I think, till about 1923 when he started getting licenses to distribute alcohol.
He was actually spending a lot of time in Chicago. And if you guys know much about Chicago in the early 1900s, it wasn't the most mild city to be living in.
Right.
But he actually...
Did he hang out with a guy named Al by any chance?
So there are some rumors about that, yes. I mean, his portrait doesn't make him look like he wouldn't have. Yeah.
He was a party animal. He might have worked hard, but he partied as hard as he worked. And he loved to party with the Walgreen brothers. Walgreens had about 50 stores in Chicago prior to Prohibition. And when Prohibition was over in a few years, they had like 600.
How dry I am, nobody cares how dry I am.
They end up buying over half of his barrels to use
For medicinal
for
whiskey.
medicine.
Yes.
Exactly.
There's a lot of sick people in Chicago, you know that? So they made so much money selling alcohol during Prohibition that they were able to boom. I don't know anybody in the United States that doesn't know Walgreens.
You bet.
We actually have some Prohibition bottles. People have actually found these and brought them into Corky and Carson, which is so incredible.
Amazing.
But they're really fun to look at because it tells a lot of history. You had to have very specific things outlined on your label. So you had to have who was producing it, which was H. Craver. You had to have bottled in bond, which meant that it was basically monitored by the government. People weren't doing anything gross to the whiskey. And then it always had to say for medicinal purposes only on there.
Yes.
Which meant you had to have a prescription.
Hangnail.
So,
Hangnail.
yes.
Do you do them up front?
Unfortunately not.
No. We don't.
No, we can just sell you the bottle now.
You do over the counter.
We will just literally
Over
give the
the
bottle
counter.
to you for about $70. But after Prohibition, he never reopened. It wasn't until 100 years later that Corky brought it back.
So let's get into you integrating yourself into this, because you're the new Peerless, revived, if you will, is only how many years old? 15.
No, it's about 10 years. 10 and a half.
10, right? Because we have barrel number 1 behind us, which was filled on March 4th, 2015.
15.
Right. So a little shy of 10 years. You decided to come out of retirement and resurrect this thing.
I had a big company. I had a financial services company, and we were headquartered in Sarasota. I sold it to Center Partners, 50th floor, Rockefeller Center. And I walked on the beach in Sarasota for a year and a half, putzed around in a boat, rode my bike, did whatever. And I tell you, the joke was down in Sarasota, if there had been a bridge high enough, Taylor would have jumped off it. I was so, I was so depressed. I had to go back to work, and I had a home here, and Carson was a trim carpenter and a builder and really good at it. So I came home and said, I got to do something. He basically said, we got a lot of history. Let's build a distillery.
So Carson, were you, was this part, did you have to convince Dad to
as he was kicking sand down in Florida? Or was this something that was this a lead pipe cinch?
Probably not too much convincing, but he had some other ideas of paths he wanted to go down, and I had a path that I would like to go down, and it turned out perfect, so it worked out good for us.
We're right in the middle of Bourbon. Kentucky and Louisville is, that's where Gun Dome is, that's where a lot of things are. So Carson came into this building and spent almost 2 years to the day, right?
Mm-hmm. This was a rough day. We had looked at a couple other buildings and made offers on them. Obviously Whiskey Row, Main Street, downtown Louisville is the go-to spot. Right. And luckily we didn't get the other buildings we made bids on. But, we were in a unique situation here for Louisville. We needed a place that we could mill, cook, ferment, distill, barrel, and bottle all under one roof. So to be able to have that, we have to be able to get semis in, and you can't be on the corner of Main and Main and get a semi or grain or bottles coming and going, whatever it might be. Right. You have to be, or the stillage or whatnot, you have to get it in and out of here. So we got about 43,000 square feet here. It's about a 140-year-old building. It was originally built the largest tobacco sale warehouse in downtown Louisville. They were here for about 30 or 40 years, and then Walker Bag Company made feed and seed burlap bags here for over 70 years. And then we bought the building from Shape Manufacturing that built coil ductwork in here. But it had never gone through a renovation in 100 and some odd years. So. Like Dad had mentioned, it spent 2 years to the day under construction, so I was driving my Bobcat, tearing out the floor. Me and a group of people, we hung every window in here, framed every stairway. I kind of started from scratch, so took it down to raw beams and went every 12 by 16 foot throughout the distillery, and laid it out where, for tourism, you all are never in our way and we're never in your way. So we can do all those things right here. But I didn't want people walking through here, looking through a glass window to see what it was. Or if it's hot, I kind of want the customer to be hot, to know it's tough work. It's,
you bet.
It's grain dust, and if it's 90 degrees outside, upstairs it's 115. I want them to smell the alcohol, or in the still room, or see the barrels rolling, 530 pounds of barrel fulls.
Hip 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 it up, hip 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 it up, right yada 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 yo. Rub up 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 up, rub up 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 up, reeb up biddy bop, reeb up biddy bop, right yada 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 yo.
We started 2 years of construction and then laid down our bourbon for 4 years. So it was 6 years before we were able to put any product in this bottle and out on the market.
You guys are, every drop, it belongs to you guys, made here from grain to glass.
If you drink Peerless, it was either distilled by my great-great-grandfather or right here at 120 North 10th Street.
You're artists. You really are. There's a great deal of connectivity, I think, to what we all do, because even this is the final product, but the story behind it enriches the experience.
We wanted to make people feel like when they come through the front door, we wanted to make them feel like they're going back in time 100 years, because that's what we're doing. We're going back and we're bringing back the Peerless name and DSP number.
So the DSP number, that's a very sacred thing here in Kentucky, correct?
It is.
And it's meaningful, and you are DSP 5 KY 50,
correct,
which was your original DSP.
That was my great-grandfather's original DSP number.
And for folks at home, DSP stands for?
Distilled Spirits Plant Number. Of course, we're in Kentucky and we're number 50. It's a federal number, and it was out of the Cincinnati headquarters, going back and forth for literally for 2 years, answering questions and doing things.
Sure.
And then one day, out of the blue, they said, well, you were granted number 50, so that was a happy day for Peerless to get that.
Well, and that's also a key thing about the tradition of this. We've been to several places that have been rich in heritage, defunct, reinvented, et cetera, but your family, it starts with your family, and it is current right now with your family, which is very unique and terrific.
Yeah, we don't have any partners. We don't have any investors. I mean, it's family owned, family run. We got great employees that we feel like are part of our family.
We eat lunch together every day. You know, I'm 5th generation. I got 3 kids. You know, they come in here and roll barrels or work on the bottling line in the summer.
Great. That's great.
And, you know, it's a long, bright future ahead. We're happy with what we have right here.
You bet.
And, you know, we're looking for it for future generations to come.
And we went one step farther. We could have come out 4 years to the day on March the 4th, 19. But in honor of my father, because we skipped that generation, I brought it out on his birthday, June 22nd. So we waited another 3 or 4 months, and to honor him,
And for you, it was for you guys. It's in a homage to your father, and nothing to do with marketing or anything like that. Something special for you guys.
Just something for us. And the products that we make in this distillery are kosher. We're very proud of that. On the back of every bottle, there's a little KLAS stamp on it, right up here on the right or left hand. Right.
I was joking earlier with Christina because I thought in the storage it's a rick house, right?
Yes.
In the rick house, I thought I saw the Star of David, so I made a self-deprecating Jewish joke, and I see that these are your Jewish barrels.
Jewish barrels.
So
these are single barrels. So no, this has nothing to do with being kosher.
Right.
This
right.
basically we have a program where like bars, restaurants, bourbon groups, they can come in and pick out their own barrel. So we let them sample through 3 of them, and then they get to choose whichever one is their favorite. And so all the stars mean that we have approved them to be part of that selection.
But everything is kosher, and you just missed the rabbi. He was here last week.
He was.
Going through, and he picked a barrel.
He did. Yeah.
That is the synagogue I need to belong to. I've been hanging out with the wrong cantor.
Well, when we started, we brought 4 of them came out of Palm Beach. Rabbi Lippman, I think he had relationships down in Palm. Then we had some in New York that came in there, a couple out of Chicago, and a couple out of Canada. So it was a process that we went through, and we're proud that we did it. And it's an honor of Henry Craver.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Then I would love to put in your in an application to be your next rabbi.
All right.
This is John Waddle. The key to my distillery employment? My mother did always want me to become a rabbi. I think I could probably get my certification
found your niche at
online.
last. You found your niche at last.
Well, we're talking about pivoting, right? Leaving a career in finance to do this, or carpentry, or musical theater. Listen, it's treated me very well. It might be time to move on.
I'll give you his email. It's Rabbi Lippman. You may have to discuss terms about being our new rabbi with him, but he has his own bourbon now too, called the Bourbon Rabbi.
Wow.
After spending a week with you, you're not gonna get.
Touche, my friend, touche. On the next USOB, Mitch quits his job to play jazz. He sounds good, no? We will taste. We will go behind the scenes. We will reenact Broadway's Evita. And obviously we'll cozy up to the real boss at Peerless, Rye the Cat. Corky will threaten us with military school, and Brandon's shocking past will be revealed. Oh yes, that is General George S. Patton.